All right, so in this video, I'm going to discuss the different positions where we are going to initiate and learn and refine the skill of doing a pelvic floor contraction or a Kegel. So a couple things there. We want to consider a few things with most of these positions. With each position I show you, increasing difficulty is going to be a thing. We've created the PDF. If you don't have your PDF out right now, if you'd like to have it out just as a guide as I'm walking you through, go ahead and grab that, and then we're going to talk about each different position. So first position, I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to talk about it, then I'm going to demonstrate, and then we're going to go through it. So the first position that we're talking about is side lying in somewhat of the fetal position. So I'm going to go ahead and get into that position. Get comfortable. I don't have a pillow. You can have a pillow if you'd like, but we're going to be lying like this with the knees bent, knees on top of each other, hips slightly up, and feet nice and relaxed. So in this position, you know, we're focusing primarily on that turtle head in the shell and the nuts to guts and then the butthole to the belly button, right? So side lying position is the easiest position to feel these things while relaxing everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to breathe in, out, exhale if I feel like I need to exhale prior to drawing in the penis and lifting the testicles. I can. If I just want to relax and think of steadily breathing while also performing retract, lift, I can do that as well. So that's the first position. Second and third positions with increasing difficulty is either lying on your stomach. Here, arm position doesn't matter. It's all about preference. You could be here. You could even be up on your elbows. If this position gets a little grody for you, feel free to put a pillow underneath your belly. In the first week or two in the pre-program, you're going to be doing a lot of breathing and diaphragmatic breathing, so you can feel that out. You're going to be in this position a lot, so figure out what's the most comfortable for you. So when I'm here, I'm thinking same idea, it's just a retraction. So in the prone position, you have the gravity component with gravity going down, and you're retracting the penis up against gravity. So we're going to think of retract the penis, nuts to guts, lift the rectum. Notice when I do this, I don't stop breathing. I can keep talking while doing it. Again, if you need to do the exhale as you do that initial contraction, if that's where you're at right now, that's totally fine. But notice I'm not doing a butt squeeze. I'm not doing a whole lot of abdominal movement. I'm just, everything's relaxed. And if I didn't tell you that I was doing a Kegel, you shouldn't really see any kind of apparent movement happening, right? So we got side lying, we got prone. We're gonna flip it over onto the back. I don't necessarily like guys learning in this kind of corpse position. I like to bend the legs up just for support. It also helps you put your pelvis in a little bit better of a position so the ribs are stacked over the pelvis even though we're lying down flat on our back. Same idea here as the others. You're going to think of inhale if you need to, exhale, retract down, lift up, get the rectal lift in there as the third, and then rinse and repeat. So in order of increasing difficulty, we've got side lying, prone, supine. I'm going to show you seated, kneeling, and standing next. All right, so moving past lying down positions, next most difficult position is a seated position. So what you want to think of in this position, same idea as what we had just mentioned with the supine position. You want your ribs stacked over your pelvis, and you want to feel your sits bones, those bottom bony parts of the pelvis, touching. You don't want to be back here. You don't want to have your pelvis tucked underneath you and be sitting on your sacrum. You want to be stacked, ribs over the pelvis. Same idea. If you need to breathe in, you can. Lift, retract, retract, lift. Important note to make right now, if it is still difficult for you to feel that penile retraction, don't get too caught up in it. You want to think of nuts to guts instead. I'm just starting and elaborating in a sense of it is most ideal, if you can at this point, to retract the penis, lift nuts to guts, then butthole to belly button. Remember the pendulum, right? So if you're more aware of the rectum lift, but it's more difficult to do the penile retraction, we're just going to start in the middle. You're going to do the nuts to guts, and then as you go, we'll build nuts to guts into penis retraction into nuts to guts, and then regardless, rectal lift last. So we got the seated position. Half kneel position. We're going to take a knee. If you need something soft under your knee, that's fine. I prefer it. I've had an ACL reconstruction, so my knees are sensitive on the front. Chances are you might have arthritis, you might have had a knee replacement, so as much cushion as you need. Also a handhold if you need. This is a barbell. You don't need a barbell to do all this, but something to hold on to if you need to. So same idea as the seated position, ribs stacked over the pelvis. We don't want your low back arching. You want to tuck the ribs down, tuck the pelvis under. You might feel a little bit of a stretch through that quad. Might be a little different from one side to the other. Same idea, exhale, nuts to guts, or retract. Butthole is the third. And then the last is the standing position. So, standing position, we're here. So we've made it to the standing position. Same idea as far as getting stacked, right? So my natural most comfortable position to stand in is a little bit of a anterior tilt with a little bit of rounding, excessive rounding through my low back. You just want to bring it in a little bit. Think about a string between your belly button and the pointy part of your rib cage. We're just closing that string to keep the shoulders stacked over the pelvis. Same idea here. Lift, retract, retract, lift, butthole to belly button. This is the standing position following surgery is typically the hardest to get a grasp on during the initial healing phases. So we want to get you to the point where you're standing, you're walking, and you're doing functional activities, and you have a sense of what that retraction feels like, and you can maintain it, right? You know what it feels like, you can turn it on, and then go, right? Because after standing is everything else in life. If you've built up to the point where you feel it in standing, you should have the capacity to apply it to a squat, a picking something up, right? A turning around, a reaching overhead, getting in and out of the car, right? Twisting, all of these things. These are activities of daily living, and they're the prerequisite to being able to build capacity to where we're getting back to rotation, or tennis, or golf, all of the above, lifting all of the weights. These are the steps of increasing difficulty with practice. Do not get caught up on if it feels perfect. More repetitions, working our way towards perfect, is much better than, oh, well, it doesn't feel perfect, therefore I'm not going to do anything until I've perfected a Kegel in standing. That is not where our mind should be. We're just using these positions as practice. So keep this in mind for your daily tasks, where we're going to write in endurance holds, quick flicks, strength contractions. These positions consist of any position of these that's going to make it the most challenging is where you want to be whenever you're doing your daily tasks, and you're the governor of making it increasingly more challenging, right? An example for an expectation following surgery would be most guys after surgery who can feel it on the table, who can feel it in sitting. As soon as I have them go into that kneeling position, if they're not ready for it, they're like, oh, yep, we're leaking, right? So getting into this half kneel, getting into standing, all of that's gonna improve into a split squat, functional squatting and hinging. The more that we can push that needle forward, the more that you can feel it in these simplistic positions, the easier it's going to be to feel it in the more difficult functional positions. That is Kegeling and all of those different positions that we're going to be learning it in.